Welcome back to part 3 of our 3-part series on medical readiness. Today we are going to talk about the supplies that you might want to get for any kind of emergency situation. And I do have a link to a free checklist below that you can get that just has a list of all sorts of supplies that I recommend having on hand. As a reminder, I'm not a medical professional, so please just use that checklist as a guide. It is just things that I have researched and found during my preparedness journey. But today we're going to dive into the 6 categories of medical supplies that I think you need to have on hand. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share my favorite bonus hack that I have for you on what you absolutely must make sure you have. Welcome back to Preparedness. I'm Laura. We talk all about prepping and self-sufficiency. If you haven't been here before, I'm so glad you're here. Today, we are diving into something that I think is pretty important, and that is medical supplies. So a few years ago, I got a pretty significant burn on my hand. I picked up a bowl that had been on the stove that I hadn't realized was turned on, and I got third-degree burns on my fingers, which required a trip to the emergency room and a lot of medical wrap and a lot of tape and a lot of ointment to kind of keep covered. If you have ever gotten an injury like mine, or you've burned yourself, you've gotten a cut, you may already realize the importance of medical supplies. But I will tell you, before that happened, I don't think I realized the sheer volume of supplies I would want to have on hand for an emergency situation. So the National Library of Medicine reviewed medical records related to natural disasters over the 10-year period to determine kind of what the most likely and what the most common injuries were in an emergency situation. What they found was that minor wounds and lacerations, blunt force trauma and bruising, hypothermia and heat stroke, so weather-related illnesses, burns, and broken bones were the most common injuries that you have. So when I'm going through these supplies, those are kinds of the things I'm thinking about in the back of my mind to help kind of frame this conversation. The first category of supplies are your first aid basic supplies. These are probably the things that automatically come to your mind when you think about first aid stuff. This is things like Band-Aids and gauze, moleskin, butterfly bandages, all of those types of things that are just going to help you treat like basic cuts, basic wounds, basic bruises. This is that first layer of defense. And if you do nothing else, please just make sure that you stock some of these supplies. The second one is just wound care and infection control. So again, this is going to be stuff like your rubbing alcohol, your hydrogen peroxide, your saline solutions to clean out your wounds. It's going to include those antibiotic ointments if you choose to use them, or Vaseline, potentially triangular type bandages, anything that you can wrap wounds with that are going to help keep them clean and sterile. Again, trying to keep things clean and sterile in an emergency situation is going to be absolutely critical. So when you're thinking about wound care and infection control, this is that area where you are really going to want to bulk up supplies if you are thinking about preparing for a longer term emergency situation. Think 2 weeks, 30 days or more. This is the stuff that you are going to have to replace on a pretty consistent basis if you are trying to keep something from getting infected. So again, I'll go back to the burn on my hand. I had to wrap that 2 or 3 times a day to make sure that the burn was staying clean so that I didn't get an infection. If you're in an emergency situation, you may not have access to clean water quite as readily. You may not have cleaning supplies. You may not have treatment with a doctor quite as easily. And so you're going to want to treat those things at home. I will just say it uses a lot more gauze and tape than I ever imagined. And so really stocking up on that wound care is probably one of the more critical things that you can do to be prepared for a more significant event. The third category is just mobility and support supplies. These mobility and support kind of things really include things like splints, braces, ACE bandages, anything that you can use to kind of immobilize a broken bone, a fracture, a sprain, a strain. Again, it's going to be those things that you can use for compression, so probably some more extra ice packs, tape, again, anything that you want to use to kind of increase stability. And here's what I would just say. If you have a joint that gives you problems, so for instance, I have a bad ankle from a gymnastics injury years and years ago. My husband has a bad knee. We actually keep an ankle brace and a knee brace in our medical supplies because we know that those joints are more susceptible to injury in an environment where maybe we are going over unstable terrain, or we are just more physically active because we are trying to repair something at our house, et cetera, et cetera. So you may want to think about buying a wrap or a bandage or something specific for that joint. The fourth category is really all about breathing and respiratory health. Now, here's what I'm going to say up front on this one. If you don't have training for some of this, then some of these tools may not be useful. However, it is always good if you can monitor airways, if you know what people's pulse is, if you can listen to people's hearts. So having some of those things on hand, like a stethoscope or a pulse oximeter, something like that, may be important to be able just to monitor vitals. Again, this will also allow you to get information to gather for an emergency responder or personnel that may be coming in to help you in an emergency situation. It may also include things like face masks, both for you and for other people. Again, this is to filter out particulates, to make sure that you're not breathing in harmful stuff. If COVID taught us anything, it was the importance of face mask for not transmitting diseases or kind of illnesses quickly. So also having some of those N95 face masks in your supplies is important. The fifth one is just emergency tools. So again, these are the kinds of things, again, some of these you probably have on hand, like thermometers. You may want to increase these things like getting shears. A blood pressure cuff is also a great addition to a medical kit, just so you can monitor people's vitals in an emergency situation. When we build our medical kits, we have obviously a few layers that we keep, but having some of these supplies replicated in multiple bags will also be useful so that you're not always hunting for supplies. And then the sixth category is really those trauma supplies. Now, again, if you don't have training for how to use this, please ignore this section, but that does include things like tourniquets, quick clot, C-locks, things like that, things that you are going to, no kidding, be treating really significant or serious injuries. This is probably not for your run-of-the-mill emergency situation. This is really if you are thinking about kind of those longer term, more significant scenarios where you may be experiencing civil unrest or turmoil, something that you feel like someone could encounter, a knife wound, a gunshot, etc. Again, these are not for your daily prepping. These are for your trauma supplies, where you could either render aid if you have the appropriate training or provide supplies to a medical professional who does have the training. Now, to follow all of this up, these supplies are not going to be helpful if you don't have some level of training and some level of experience to use them. So please go take a CPR first aid class, go take a basic first aid class. If you're interested in medical stuff, go take an EMT class. There are things that are available in your local area that you can use to gain some of these medical skills that will give you slightly more confidence. And the bonus tip that I want to include is just to make sure that you always have first aid references on hand. Wilderness and travel medicine guides are great because they are written with the idea that you may not be able to get to medical help for an hour, 2 hours, multiple hours, etc. They're going to teach you how to stabilize a patient regardless of what is going on. And that again is super important for things like exposure, hypothermia, heat stroke, etc. Wilderness guides have a more probably comprehensive list, I would say, for treating those kinds of things with stuff that you can find on hand. Don't forget to download your free checklist, a complete emergency medical supply list for you to use. Until next time, let's be prepared, not scared.